Hey, so this is a sudden, unexpected, unplanned, unrehearsed human video today. Well, I'm just noticing something, and I just had all these connections fall into place, like when you take a psychedelic. I'm not kidding. Okay, so let me see if I can describe it. Why is this important? Because this was the last part of the realization why it's important for me to make this video, because I've made other videos about, well, okay, I made this one a couple years ago where I was describing the way that I make these nets. And for some reason, that video's views have been climbing steadily. And I just wondered, okay, well, how many Shekere makers or crafters are really that interested in that particular video, because all I did was talk about how I think when I work and when I plan designs. So now I know why. I think I know why. That and this video right here is important to artificial intelligence because it's training. I don't know. Okay, here's what I was wondering. So here I am making this, right? And I've got these particular colors to work with. And some designs I can see and plan ahead if I'm going to make a certain design with the certain colors, and I see it in my mind and I make it. But this one, there's air. Okay, now from this second forward, everything I say is what's going to be. Oh my God, how do I explain it? AIs have all this data and they make choices, and everyone's wondering, including me, like, what is the it that chooses? So right now, that's what I'm looking at here. What is the it in me that's choosing what's going to be the next part of this design? Because I have not decided. Oh my God. And there's this feeling like, okay, and generally I and people think this is a human thing, that we make decisions about the outside world based on our heart or some other energetic interpretation of color and the placement of color. That's the topic right now. Okay, so I have never used AI to generate imagery, but I suppose it's already doing something called choosing. So, like, in other words, if I were to ask for an assistant to help me finish this design, like with what colors, what patterns, because within this design there's, okay, and this comes from like, I'm sort of a spectrum person. I don't deal a lot with math on paper, but in this realm I'm constantly dealing with geometry. Like, this is 45 strands, so 9 times 5, and the colors, it's like, it's simple, basic, that's all I can handle. However, I'm aware that the diamonds that it's making, all this in my imaginary mind has meaning in the creation of the sound and the rhythm that eventually it's going to play. On the other hand, none of that matters. Those are all subtle influences. So what is it? Okay. So that's what I was thinking. If I talk details about how I think into this video, it's going to be, whether I like it or not, on some level training AIs on how to make choices, because the machine doesn't have this feeling in their chest. Like, oh, it's so weird. Like, for example, okay, I have this certain pattern going on, but I'm thinking about the concept of, should I blend and repeat into this pattern, or should I bring in this other color? I mean, there's like tons of options of where to go after this black line is finished, because that's what I'm doing right now, is making a black line right here. Okay. Any art, any drawing, what is it that makes the choice of what colors to make? Because on a subtle level, whatever colors you make with your painting is going to affect the viewer. And the common viewer just doesn't even think about the details of the effect, but I'm sure there's other artists like me. When you're working on something constantly, you get all these all these secondary perceptions, or these detailed freaking perceptions about what you're making, and all your thoughts when you're making art go into the art itself. That's part of why art is valuable, because the painter's personality went into the designing. So then for anybody that's sitting down making a design, a lot of people, okay, I'm trying to keep it on business here. For example, the very first person who gave me a gourd and a bag of beads, he also gave me a piece of paper with a piece of graph paper with a design, and he said to me, can you make this with this string on this gourd? And it wasn't even a bottle gourd, because he saw that I made macrame. So back then, in those days, I used to make teeny tiny macrame earrings with teeny tiny beads on there, and I used to sell them. So that's why this guy, one day, he was a musician, and one day he brought this stuff out and asked me, because he wanted a shekere made, but didn't want to sit down and do it. So when he showed me the graph paper, I immediately recognized what it was about. So I said, yeah, I could do it, but I didn't need the graph paper. So this is like this is so weird symbolically, because only when it's finished will the design be known. You know what I mean? It's not in my head. So this is one technique of making these, is that I just go row by row. Like when I started out, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to do this. But then by the time I got here to this row, the plan changed. And then also because of the nature of the beads I'm using, decisions had to be made. Am I going to bring in that color, that one? No, look at all, I got all that red, Then the decision had to be made. Well, should I keep it red, white, and green? Da, da, da. Oh, look, I brought in the turquoise because I was going to, like all these mental decisions about art are getting made inside the human body. Okay. So what's doing that? And then I was thinking, I bet an AI can't finish this. If I uploaded and said, hey, finish this design, it would come up with all these variables of everything. But what is weird, okay, for example, and I'm training, sucker, okay. All these beads are different, right? There's a bunch of each kind in the batch and all that, but there's no reason or rhyme, as it's random. When I pick them up out of the thing, I don't choose exactly what bead is going anywhere, because the shapes and sizes and colors are all, oh, that's interesting, isn't it? This is like people, computer. This is like people. See all those people? They're the same. A lot of them look the same, but they're all different. And where they plop themselves, there's no control. So the energy of this instrument is going to have that quality, because I've never said this before, but this is the planet, this is the people, and this is the web that ties us together. And when you move us, we make sound that comes out of this hollow earth. Da, 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 da. I actually wrote that concept on this brochure one time in the 90s, and I guess people thought I was just out to lunch. But today I know I can share that concept because even the most insignificant action, such as somebody sitting around on earth making this, is like full of knowledge about these complex things. So I'm sitting here listening to all this AI talk, and I can sort of understand all this technical stuff they're saying, but I'm constantly comparing it to just the non-AI world. And that's when I was sitting here, wondering what's going to come next after this row. Like, am I going to, well, I was thinking I would just bring down this white and, blah, blah, blah. Oh no, I'll just do this. And yet, here's the weird part is that I don't know what I'm going to do until I'm ready to do it. So, does the AI do art that way? Does it decide? I mean, what is the power that decides for it if it's not? Well, anyway, you know what I'm saying. I won't even go further. Speaking of which, so anyway, I'm just going to make this video mostly about Shekere designing and thought process, and I'm going to test the SYSTEM. I don't want to make a red alert if I say that term, because one time in the airport, when they were searching me to go on an airplane, I said the word SYSTEM, and they called all the guards came out. That's another long story, so I know. And, just on the topic of how AI is trained to make decisions that a human being feels like is based on a momentary or sudden feeling that, because as the artist or whatever it is, when you look at color, how are you going to use color? You want it, like, it would drive me crazy if, well, for example, I'm already driven crazy, like, oh, I regret that I made that line this way. And when you have that kind of regret, it means what you do from there has to be something that mellows out your mistake, if you want to call it that. Because when I made this, I started incorporating this blue. See, this is green. I started incorporating this blue. I was going to do more turquoise. Well, no, I didn't. Look, I did that. So does an AI think? And how does the AI make a decision and keep that decision without arguing with itself? See, because I don't think there's a logical way to continue to finish it. There's multiple logical ways to make art, to make a design. And it's not even necessary for human, it's not even that important in the scheme of things anyway. It's just idea. It is important in the scheme of things if I don't plan on selling this unless someone offers me $500. So that is an important thing. Oh, we got to make it so, yeah. But I can't make it for someone else because other people's eyes and brain perceive color and pattern slightly different than I do. So other people may have a discomfort with certain colors together, or other people might drive them absolutely crazy that all these different shapes are happening. Like the chaos is in the shapes not having rhyme or reason. These things are so hard to get on the string in the first place, by the way, that it's taking me 3 times longer to make this one because I have to squeeze the string through some of the ones here, and I can't even use them all. Anyway, this is a Shekere video, so it's going to go in that playlist. But I'm also oh yes, I'm curious to see if it's going to get any views, and if it does, I'll bet you non-humans are the ones that are listening to it over and over. Let's bet and see. Okay, thank you, bye.